Hi there, and welcome to this week's vlog. Thanks as always for joining me. We just got back from a wonderful week's holiday in the Lake District here in England. Lake District is so called because it's got lots of lakes, and lots of lakes because it tends to rain quite a bit. Though while we were there, hardly any rain, more or less wall to wall sunshine, fabulous weather, and we had a wonderful time. Went with Sue, my wife, my sister Jenny, and her husband David. Over the weekend, our son-in-law Matt and his daughter, our granddaughter Beth, joined us. So we had a great time. We travelled about a bit, visited some of the sites, went on a boat a couple of times, went on a train a couple of times, and we had just such a fabulous time. In fact, it was hard to leave after the week was over. We could have easily stayed on and spent more time there. There's so much more to see. The only kind of slight fly in the ointment really was when we were almost ready to leave, and I suddenly realised that I didn't exactly know where my wallet was. I was pretty sure I'd packed it, but I didn't know where I'd packed it. So I thought, well, we could set off and we'll find it when we get home. But I thought, no, better find it before we set off, make sure we have got it. So I spent ages, went through the bag that I had packed and another backpack, and couldn't find it anywhere. I was getting more and more frustrated. Sue was trying to help me, couldn't find it. And then I realised it was in my short pocket all along. And although that was a mighty relief, it was also a bit of a letdown because, it's a bit silly spending all that time searching for something that is in your pocket all along. But anyway, there we go. So I got it. And that kind of reminded me of another incident, not exactly the same, but along those lines, of something that was lost. This occurred many, many years ago when we were living in Stoke-on-Trent, known as the Potteries, because lots of pottery manufacturing, certainly in the heyday of pottery manufacturing, that was the great area where lots of the pots were made. Lots of the great companies were based in the potteries, some still going today. Anyway, I was due to take a wedding, and in every local Methodist church that was registered for wedding, there was a safe, and in the safe is not usually stored money, but it's stored papers and documents and the marriage registers. In fact, a number of folk over the years have tried to rob Methodist churches and been very disappointed when they've found in the safe no money, it's just documents. So I needed to get into the safe to make sure the registers were okay and start preparing them for the big day when the wedding would take place. The problem was I could not find the key to that safe. I searched high and low. I searched in the usual places. I could not find it. I was getting more and more concerned as the day was drawing near, because if on the day we hadn't got the registers, the bride and groom and the witnesses couldn't sign them. So it's going to be a big problem. Part of the reason that I'm reminded of that was that in that time it was a long, dry, sunny summer, a bit like the weather we've been having recently. The gardens are desperately in need of rain, a long, dry period. So it had been sunny for a long time, and it was drawing near. I don't know whether it was maybe a week or two before the wedding was due to take place. I was having visions of having to go to a locksmith, get him to break into the safe. Fortunately, that didn't have to happen, because a few days before the wedding, the heavens opened and at last the rain came down. And what do you need if you go out in the rain? An umbrella. Yeah. So I went to the umbrella. We had a little kind of brass storage thing in which the umbrellas were. I took out the umbrella, lifted it up, and lo and behold, what dropped out? Yes, the keys to the safe. What had happened is I'd put them down on a cabinet, and somehow they'd been knocked off and landed in the umbrella. So no wonder I couldn't find it. But then I did find it. So I was just thinking of the old saying, every cloud has a silver lining, and the clouds that brought the rain certainly had a silver lining. So my prayers for finding the key had been answered. What was lost has been found. And I'm not quite sure exactly how this leads into the verse that came to my mind as I was thinking about that. But, in our lives, sometimes things happen and we struggle with them. We don't know, why has God allowed that? Why is this bad thing happening? Why? But Paul, writing to the Christians in Rome who were going through a terrible persecution, and Paul himself suffered greatly, he wrote this: in all things, God works for the good of those who love him. So somehow God can take even the bad things of our life and weave them for good. He can help us learn. He can help us just grow through tough times. And let me just finish with reading a passage from the letter of James in the New Testament. He says this, and it's perhaps hard to take in at first: consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. So James is saying that, when the tough times come, when we're persecuted, when we suffer, whatever, just rejoice, because God can take that and use it for good. Somehow we might not work out how he can do that, but God can do it. So God is with us even in the tough times, the struggles that we face. And if we pray, if we trust in him, we find that he doesn't let us down. So that's just a little bit from my last week. It's still sunny now, but we're back home. So God bless you. Thank you so much for listening today.